Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show with no name. I'm Adaire Palmer and
I don't know which way I am, but I'm Theonie Roussianos. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into what today's show is about, for those of you who are new and haven't played with us here before, we created this show, it says episode 10, but it was a lot longer than that. It's been about a year. I think we've been doing this now, Adaire, every week.
It was actually June last year.
So it's almost a year, not quite. It was our end of financial year sale, baby. We started this one. We created this show.
Love, but it's free.
That's right. And that's exactly what we do. We're giving away free love. So we created this show to help promote, brand champion, and show what people are doing for their communities, other not-for-profits, and how they support communities and the people that they support. So whether it's to do with an illness or a specific project group or whatever it might be, we don't make those rules up. We welcome everybody because we think there are so many amazing causes out there that we want to help raise your profile, raise their profile, and whatever it is that's going on. So, quite often there are projects happening whether they need donations, or it might just be raising awareness. They might not need anything other than awareness. And the purpose for you, for our viewer, is to help you get the help that you need, because sometimes you don't know that these facilities exist. I know we've spoken to quite a few organisations, and I'm like, I didn't know they existed, but I know people who could do with their help.
Yeah, and we've covered everything from doing the kidney transplant diabetes research, and we've talked to bushfire survivors, people who've survived losing everything in their bushfires. A guy who 2,222 kilometres across Australia to raise money for neuroblastoma, and an amazing array of people in between. So we'll continue to bring you these amazing people who are doing amazing things. We've got a few things.
Yeah. So, but like and share this broadcast with your networks and invite people to watch, because today is something that we're talking today about something I think everybody needs to know about. We've got two incredible people on today, which I'll let Adaire introduce in a moment. I'm really excited to have them on, and I think you will too. They're doing something that everybody needs to see.
And I will bring them on in a moment, but I would like to just say, if you're here, jump in and say hello. We'd love to know who you are and where you're from. So, Deb, welcome. And if you are
hi, Ducky.
We've got a few people here already. So, is Ducky here? I can't see.
Ducky's watching. Ducky's reacted. I can see Ducky.
Oh, Ducky, we're going to see you later today. It'd be lovely to catch up. All right, Cherie, there we go. You sure do. There's Ducky for us. So where are you from? And just jump in and say hi. And please remember to share or invite people.
Or both.
If you're here for the replay, welcome. The other thing I'd like to mention also is that we broadcast this out through a platform called Binge Networks to over 50 channels of TV on demand. So we don't know where in the world your message is going to go. So we even go to China where Facebook can't. So you just don't know. So even if you're local and you want to get your message out to the broader world, we have a perfect vehicle for that to happen. Today, we are talking with Joy Nugent and Scott Zarcinas, as he's going to tell me I pronounced that wrong. I did practice when I first said, how do you pronounce your name? We're talking with Joy and Scott from a local charity called Soul Talks. Now, Soul Talks is a not-for-profit registered charity operating in South Australia. And the principal activity of of Soul Talks is to promote self-healing. It aims to foster awareness of potential when the soul's intuitive language is understood. It aims to remove or decrease death anxiety as a source of focus. It wants to support equality and acknowledge the soul is free of duality. It offers free forums where people can learn about emotional, mental, physical, spiritual health, and also raising funds for the community for this good work to continue. Welcome to you, Joy and Scott. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
ladies.
having us.
It's an honour to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And we'd just love to know, Joy as the founder of Soul Talks, and Scott, I believe, as the chair of the board. Lovely to have you both here. It's amazing. And we've got Corinda's here as well. Hello, Corinda. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Please share and invite people along that you know would benefit from this conversation. Joy, we'll start with you. We were there, Theonie and I were there for the launch of this organisation, and it was one of the most uplifting events that I've been to personally, and I've been to a few. Yeah. Really amazing, with amazing people and some fantastic content. How did you come to create this amazing organisation?
Well, I think that I was divinely led. But I have always had an interest in life, death, and what comes next. And having had a near-death experience myself, I don't fear death. And it's been my privilege for 30 years to sit by the bedside of people who were dying. But the most amazing thing, an insight I got during that time, was that the difference between someone who's alive and someone who's just died. And the only difference is the energy has gone. It's so profound, and energy, as you know, can never be destroyed. And that gave me an interest in energy medicine, but not only looking at energy medicine, but following Florence Nightingale, who was my mentor. You know, she said the true mystical principle is to find the God within. And a lot of the complementary therapies that we practitioners that we promote through Soul Talks do things like past life regression, mindfulness, meditation, kinesiology, shamanic practitioners, massage, quantum touch, mind power, natural health, transpersonal art therapies, ways that help us not only discover who we are, but help us to go within to find that spiritual connection that we're so often missing. Last night I watched SBS on a group of Christians talking, and I honestly thought that the world was still flat in some people's belief. We just haven't moved into seeing God or that infinite intelligence as energy that has a feminine component of nurturing, loving, creating, etc., and a masculine component of strength and support. You know, we as human beings, as Einstein said, are just energy, and we really need to rethink how we look at the landscape of our lives, that we are just energy, and we need to look at things differently to make sense of the world that we're living in.
Absolutely. And now Adaire said it earlier. So we were at your launch. So that was it October, November?
September last year.
All right. Was that far ago? Now, as incredible as everything you're doing is, now you're right, death is something that many fear. And then there's something that you said on that night, it's that you go through life worrying about death and you're not living your life.
True.
And I can't hear you, Adaire.
This will totally crack you up, Theonie. I muted myself.
Yeah, I love doing that to you. You did it to yourself. Thank you.
I'm typing away and I thought I'll mute myself so nobody can hear me typing, and then I forgot to unmute. But Joy, that's a brilliant intro into the Soul Talks and what you're doing, and I would love to talk about that in a little while. I'd just like to get for you and for Scott, can we just touch a little bit on about who you are and what sort of led you here, and Scott, how you sort of came into being part of this amazing organization. So because if that's if you don't mind us just sort of going just a little bit sideways so we can just capture that, because I just got totally lost in that conversation. And I thought, wow, we know a lot about the organisation now, but little about Joy. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about Scott as well. So you were a nurse?
Sorry?
Are you talking to Scott or to Joy?
I don't think Scott was a nurse.
That's okay. But Joy, no, you go ahead. You talk about your background.
Well, my background is as a nurse. I had 30 years as a private palliative care nurse, and that really came about as a midlife crisis. And really what happened was I had a yearn to go back to nursing, which I had left to become a wife and mother. And it was really an area that I was intuitively drawn to. And I think because I'm such a bossy person, I talk about my Duchess archetype, but, I wasn't good at working for anyone. I had these insights and I wanted to do it my own way. So I pioneered and for 30 years ran a private nurse practice and employed up to 100 people sometimes to work casually to help people die at home in their way. And it's quite relevant that people will not pay for something that they don't appreciate. And I can tell you that for 30 years, we were handsomely paid by people who really wanted to have the sort of care that I offered because I did it their way. I listened to their stories. I listened to their lives. I listened to their ways of living and what was important to them, rather than as a health professional who comes in and knows best and tell people what to do. I think that's one of the big misunderstandings of healthcare, that we don't let people listen to their inner self, what's guiding them. As a mother, mothers know what's wrong with the child or that something's wrong with the child. And it's the same with us as souls. We have this intuitive ability to know something's wrong in our lives, and we don't always know how to find it. But Soul Talks is encouraging people not just to, something's wrong, I'll go to the doctor and get a pill or a prescription. It's saying, look at your life, look at your emotional body and your mental body as well as your physical body, and help yourself heal. There's no point in just focusing on the body itself, because we're more than just a body.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that, because it puts it into context about what's drawn you to this part of the journey. So I'm losing my voice after muting myself. Is there a message there?
Yes.
And what you said is right. In healthcare, it is often a patient's not listened to. It's the person with the degree or whatever knows what's best is the perception by many, not by everybody, by many, and they don't often listen to the patient. The patient often knows what's going on inside them and, can give more insight into what's happening to them.
They can. Who's got the phone ringing in the background?
Because that's my husband. Never work with children, husbands or pets.
I'll just mute Theonie because I like doing that anyway. So let me know when you want to be unmuted. Now let's introduce Scott Zarcinas. Was that correct?
You're getting close. That's why I always say just call me Dr. Z, because no one can pronounce my surname anyway. So it's the easiest way.
Or just Scott. Welcome, Scott. And how did you get involved in this amazing project or this amazing organisation?
Thanks. Yeah, well, I'm pretty much a newbie. I'm maybe May last year. I got introduced to Joy. Joy has obviously been doing this for a number of years, but Joy was in the process of creating Soul Talks as a charity organisation. Previously to that, she'd just been running Soul Talks, running these free forums and courses. But she decided that she wanted to create a charity out of this, and to do that you need some legal requirements. And for instance, you need to have a board to run, and so I got voted in as the chair of Soul Talks, which is quite a wonderful thing, which I'm very happy to donate my time and efforts to help grow this charity as much as we can. And that sort of brings me to what where I wanted to talk about with Joy, is that we're about to grow this from 2 chapters. We call them chapters, the CBD chapter here in Adelaide, where we give our free forums, but also we're about to launch an Adelaide Hills chapter up in Stirling or Aldgate, I think, and that's going to happen on May the 5th, which is a Sunday. So we would love people to come on board. They can find out all the information on our website, soultalks.com.au, about that launch as well.
That is brilliant. So what we could do is, if you have a look above, there's some links there. There's a links to the Soul Talks page. And I haven't checked, but I would imagine there would be events there as well. And also the website is up there as well. So if you're looking to connect with the Soul Talks in South Australia, come along to the events. They're both on the page, the Facebook page and the website. Now, the actual forums itself, so that's the model. It is around the educational forums. Is that and then you do fundraising to raise money to support the charity? Is that how it actually works?
Well, basically, the platform is of the free forums is to give health professionals that are practicing with soul and looking at these other complementary therapies, which the government has ceased mainly to fund, or the private health funds have mainly ceased to fund, which is such a shame. Give them some support, give them an audience, give them the opportunity to talk about what they're doing in a soulful way, to help people really heal, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. And fundraising is really difficult because it's the hardest thing in the world to do, and one that we are totally unsuccessful at to date. But again, it's a hard topic that we're selling, and it's also something that, well, people don't really want to know about. Death and dying is not exactly popular. But my mantra is that if we get death right, we get life right.
I love that.
Absolutely. And Joy, we're not doing too badly. We could do it. We could do better for sure. Running courses and the soiree, which is happening tonight, I believe. Joy.
Yes, there is a soiree at the Hilton tonight. We call soirees a celebration of our work. And tonight we have Intercelic, who is a life coach of enormous proportion in what she has done and taking coaches to Cambodia. She's going to talk about the Savari of her soul. And we combine it with music, which is the language of the soul. And Lizzie Hughes and Michael Shanahan on acoustic guitar will entertain. So we have lovely Hilton food and bird-in-hand wines for the physical body. We have music for the soul, and we have Intercelic talking about her life and her work as a coach. And she will be having an insight type forum with our vice chair, Nicola Lipscomb. Look, it'll be fun, it'll be entertaining. And because I like to stay legal and honest, none of the money that we pay, $45, pays for goods and services, but we're asking for donations that are legally a tax deduction on top of that. There will be opportunities to take away a form for an EFT donation. There's a form for tax donation, for cash donations that people want to do. But instead of doing a whole lot of raffles and hype around fundraising, which I think we're all sick of, silent auctions, you name it, we've all been there, we've done it. We're literally being totally bare, providing a good entertainment for 2 hours, and we're then honestly asking people for a donation on top of that, which is a tax deduction.
Yes, I mean, these soirees are a major fundraiser for us to deliver these free forums. Without the money raised at these soirees, it's difficult to fund the free day presentations. I mean, they're full days, these free forums, so they cost quite a bit. We have to pay for venues, food, and whatnot. And we get 4 presenters once a month at the different chapters. So, and as we're building, hopefully we can have up to about 4 or 5 chapters around Adelaide and maybe even interstate. And that requires funding for us to put on free for people to attend. So that's why these soirees are important for us.
And also, Scott, the videoing, we have them videoed, and those videos go into our video library on the website, so that if people weren't able to attend a particular forum, they can still catch up on what was presented while they're peeling the potatoes and preparing dinner. You know, really, that's what I do. I love watching the videos in our video library. But of course, to make them, it costs money. So this particular forum, we are asking for support for our free forums to cover some of the expenses, but also to cover some of the expenses of videoing and recording, which really goes to promoting these health practitioners even further.
Yes, and we only have 4 soirees a year, so we have them every 3 months or so. So that's why it's important to attend. And tonight's one starts at 6:30. Is that correct, Joy?
7 o'clock promptly. We like people to register from 6:45, and it finishes at 9 or 9:30. So it's not a long evening, and it is during the week. But it's just a little light loveliness during the week to put people on their feet again and to inspire them, in their personal lives as well as everything else that's going on.
So do you, fundraising's obviously, you know, sometimes it can be fun.
So we welcome people to come along and help us in our mission, I guess, to deliver these free forums. Because we've been doing it, well, Joy's been doing it for at least three or 4 years now. I've been part of it for just over 1 year. And the funding is one of our issues, one of our challenges. But and Joy, I know, has put a lot of her own money into this to keep things moving. And
so
hopefully we on the board can pay her back at some point. But yeah, look, to keep going, we need the support of the community. It comes down to that.
Can I put in a little practical note that on the website there's a heading called supporters, and under that heading you're invited either to be a member or a subscriber, and that gets to see the video library, but there's also a button for donations. So it can be very easy for people to push the donation button on our Soul Talk website, and that will help enormously.
Now, Theonie, you wanted to say something about sponsors, was that?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was muted. I wasn't sure. So is sponsorship something that you're looking for as well to help fund moving forward?
Absolutely. At the moment, the only sponsorship we receive is from Bird in Hand Winery, and that is very much appreciated. Yes.
They definitely
deserve that.
I said they deserve a plug. Any winery jumping on.
We have a wonderful sponsor in Bird in Hand Wineries.
Oh, beautiful.
Who have been very loyal to Soul Talks and Joy's cause. So we're very happy to have them on board. But of course, we would.
We've lost you, Scott. I haven't muted you. I can see that you're talking. Can you refresh, please? Pop out and come back in again.
Yeah, I can see Scott. I can't hear.
I can see you. So we've got Scott's
now,
just dropped out. He's going to refresh. So Theonie,
I
you're
do
not
want
muted.
to point out, I've said this to you, but I think the world needs to know, I am totally in awe of everything you're doing, Joy. You're not, people think of retiring from the ages 60 to 70, whatever, but your life and your journey, and this is really only just getting started.
Well, I'd say I've had 2 lifetimes. I had one lifetime as the wife of an orthodontist with 4 children at private schools and doing bridge and golf, did all that. And then I had my midlife crisis and went back to nursing and did a refresher course at the Royal Adelaide and then worked at the Mary Potter Hospice for some time. But, it has been a life. And then when my life was cut short 3 years ago, I was at a loss and thought, what am I going to do? My whole philosophy is if I'm not being useful, if I'm not helping to co-create with something bigger than I am on a soul level, then I may as well tick off. Why am I here? And I think that people who are looking at end of life and those who are game to look at death and dying have to look at purpose and meaning. Why are we here? Why are we born? We're not here to gain the biggest house, 5 cars, have all this jewelry, blah, blah, blah. I always said to people, there's no pocket in your shroud. And some of the happiest people I've met in that reality, when people are dying, there's no ego, there's no pretense, it's real. And some of the happiest people are the people that have had very little by way of material goods, but they have enormous hearts. And I always remember one of my very, very first patients being asked by a family to come and help this man. He was a rabbit shooter. They were as poor as church mice, but they couldn't pay me enough. And I'm saying, no, we always do respite. We can don't charge for my work. You haven't got private health insurance. And look, it was incredible. And then there are the other people that have got 6 Mercedes, 3 whatevers, and they're the meanest that I just can't tell you. So
not all people with money are mean, but it's that you do quite often see. Now, my parents.
Good.
I'm first generation Australian, so my parents come from different areas in Greece. And my mum's from this little village where everybody is pretty much working on a barter system. They help each other out. They don't have money, but they're all growing different things and they help each other out. And, a stranger comes walking through the middle of the village and they can't do enough to help them. But then you go to Athens where they're a little bit more well off. I mean, I don't know what it's like there now with the economic crisis and whatever going on over there. But the ones who are a little bit more well off don't tend to, they're not the ones who are going to give you the shirt off your back. It's the ones who are living sort of more on the line that know what it's like to live below the line.
Well, I know we can't generalize. I know that. But Mother Teresa in her work in Calcutta used to say, the poor are rich in spirit. And often the rich are poor in spirit. So leave money aside, and we can never generalize because there are some fantastic philanthropists in the world, and not all people that are poor are spiritual. But, I think that looking at life and as energy, it can make sense of the world and how we can change perception, that we're energy beings just does make a difference. That, our heart as an organ is also a chakra. And, why do we have heart attacks? Why do men have more heart attacks than women? Maybe because they don't deal with their emotional heart issues. This is the sort of holistic approach that I like to bring to people, that it's not just looking at one area of people's lives. If we want to truly self-heal, we have to look at all the areas in our life, even the difficult ones. And that's why I think it's lovely to have natural health remedies, look at things like mind power, quantum touch. I, as a nurse, trained to do therapeutic touch, which I didn't understand, but I centered myself and asked for universal guidance to smooth the energy field of people. And my hands became incredibly sensitive. So I just encourage everybody, if they know of a practitioner that works with energy in a healing way, to just be open. One of my nun friends used to tell me, Joy, the mind is like a parachute. It functions best when fully open. And while I acknowledge that I go to my GP and have a wonderful relationship with him, he says to me about my other stuff, oh, Joy, whatever works. And I think that's what it is. I certainly think that life is about balance. We have traditional allopathic medicine to remove blockages, to help us heal quickly, to help us deal with pain and other symptoms. And that actually puts us in another frame where we can be more meditative and mindful and look at what else is going on in our lives in the area of mental and emotional pain.
Joy, that is amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that. Look, we could keep talking about this for a long time. We do have to wind it up today, but we invite you and Scott back because I'm going to learn to pronounce your name. and I'll have you back here.
Zarcinas, Adaire, Zarcinas. Say it slowly. Nobody gets hurt.
Remember when I was trying to pronounce ephemeral? It took me a while, but I got there. I just kept
Scott, it took her 3 years to get to say my name, so don't feel offended or left out.
So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. It is amazing to have you here. We have Cherie has made this huge message, and if I put that up, it's just going to cover all of us. So, and sorry that we with your mum has slowly passed over a few days in palliative care. We will have to, what we'll do, Cherie, is we'll come back and we'll have a look at what your comments are, and we'll get back in touch with you about your comments you've made. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thanks for joining us. Paula, thank you for your comments as well, and for being with us and others who have contributed and have watched the show with us. Joy and Scott, I'll just drop you out while we wind up the show, and don't go anywhere. We will be back in just one moment after we've ended the broadcast. We'll see you in the lobby. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the show with no name, amazing people, Joy Nugent and
Scott Zarcinas.
There you go.
I think we need to rename it, the show with no name but incredible guests.
And really kooky hosts. Talking about Soul Talks is a local charity that looks to extend into other chapters in other places in Australia, but we start where we stand, and it's in South Australia. If you are interested in the soiree, did I pronounce that right?
Soiree. I need to be, I should be a really good ventriloquist. You open your mouth and I'll let the words come out.
That works. Here, read my mind, Theonie. If you're interested in the event tonight at the Hilton, there is a link. I'll put the event link down the bottom in the comments, and it's also in the body of the post above. If you want to support Soul Talks organisation, you can do so by hitting the donate or connect button on the website, and that is also above. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'm Adaire Palmer.
I'm Theonie Roussianos. I say my name because Adaire can't.
We'll see you next week, 9:30 on Thursday for the show with no name. Bye.
And that will be Australian Central Standard Time, not Daylight Savings Time, because Daylight Savings finishes